What is going on, college football fans? Welcome back to another Talking College Football live stream. If you guys are watching this as a video later, make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe. Also, make sure you guys join us next Thursday night so you guys can be in this live and talk with me in the comments. Bring your questions to the stream, and you guys can also call in if you guys want to talk on stream with me about anything college basketball, college football, anything. I have some main topics for us to talk about, of course, here as well. And before we get into it, I just want to say, again, if you guys are watching this as a video later, go follow me on Twitter at Dannyology, 2 Y's at the end, and on Instagram at Dannyology. Same as my YouTube, just Y for 1 Y for the Instagram. Yo, what's up, Kansas fan? How you doing today, man? How's it going? Again, this link, it's pinned in the top of the chat. If you guys want to click that link, you can come on here and talk college football with me on stream. So we got 5 viewers in here already. Say what's up, everybody. How is everybody doing today? A lot of topics to talk about today. One being, we talked about the pods last Thursday. I kind of liked them, but as I got more thinking about it, I don't really like the idea of having pods like anymore. And I'll elaborate on that in a little bit. Yo, what's up, Joey? How's it going? Good, Kansas fan. I'm glad you're doing good. Glad you're doing good. Yo, what's up, Al Squire? How you doing? I had a good day today. It was a lot of fun. But I will elaborate on the pods in a second while we get some questions in here, get some more people in here. Yeah, I think that the pods are no longer a good idea because to me, if we're going away from divisions, why have pods whenever it's really just a smaller version of a division. It just seems like it's a baby step towards having no divisions when they should just all out completely go no divisions because they're going to have all of these rivalries that they have to protect, but they're not going to be able to protect them all. But if you go away from all divisions entirely, then like the Big 12 does in football, you're not going to be able to play everybody every year. But with pods, like for example, the SEC, this is what really got me thinking about this in the first place, is the SEC. Because you're going to have 3 people in your pod that you play every single year. So you're going to play everybody else like every 3 or 4 years or something like that. But if there's no divisions at all, then you can protect like 2 rivalry games for each team that you can play every year. And then you have what? 3 non-con games. So that leaves 7 left. Then you can play everybody almost every other year in your conference. I think that that's fine. Everybody gets to protect 2 rivalries in the conference because here's the main problem that I see with pods that I got really thinking about it, and it's Auburn. Auburn is the problem because they just are. Because think about it. Their 2 biggest rivalries are Alabama, of course, at the Iron Bowl, the biggest rivalry in all of college football, right? And then their other one is Georgia, the oldest rivalry of the South. But you can't, I mean, you could, but you're not going to put Alabama, Georgia, and Auburn all in the same pod because Alabama is going to want to be in a pod with Tennessee as their other rival. Georgia's going to want to be in a pod with Florida, their other rival, and it just doesn't really work out to me. Because there's no way they're not playing the Iron Bowl unless they're going to go away from playing the oldest rivalry of the South every single year, right? Like, I don't think so. I think that you should just protect 2 rivalries per team. Some teams can do just 1 if they only have 1. And then you play every team every other year. Or even, how about this? So there's 16 teams. in the SEC. Well, there's going to be 16 teams in the SEC after Oklahoma and Texas join. Okay. So if you protect one rivalry, so for Auburn, say their one rivalry they protect is Alabama, then you can play 8 other conference games and 3 non-cons, right? So 8, half of 16, you can play each team every single year. So then you're still playing that Auburn Georgia game every other year. So it still maintains kind of the rivalry, and it may even up the value of that rivalry. If you're playing Auburn Georgia every other year instead of every year, it's still a rivalry game because it's still being played pretty often. I think that's honestly, I think that's a lot better. I honestly think that's a lot better than pods. It just seems like a super unnecessary step. We're going to go into pods for a few years, and then we're just going to end up doing what I said in the future. It's just an unnecessary step that pods are. Joey, would you rather have WVU playing Cincinnati and UCF every year so we have a chance to go to some away games, or do you just want to be able to travel to an away game once every 4 years? Um, I would rather wait, or would you? I mean, if we're doing pods in the Big 12, I would want WVU to be with Cincinnati and UCF, and it would probably be Iowa State. Um, I think that would be better, especially for us recruiting wise, because we like to recruit out of Florida. If they know that every other year we're going to be playing in Central Florida, um, then that's a good recruiting tool, in my opinion. Danny got a good tape. Hey, I'm telling you, there's no reason for this unnecessary step. That's why they should make me the new commissioner of the NCAA. I will make decisions. I'm not going to make committees for everything. They got a playoff committee for their playoff committee. They're doing, I don't even know. But I know the other commissioner is going to be gone once they find a new one. So, yeah. I'm going to lose service for 5 minutes, but I'll be back to argue with you about the pods. All right. All right. Yeah, I'm up to hear your guys' opinions on them. Because that's personally my opinion. I think just go away with them entirely. Just go away with divisions entirely. Don't turn into these mini divisions. Yeah, I could see pods being good for WVU in particular, but for college football as a whole, I think it would be better to just go no divisions, because if you think about it, once the 4 new Big 12 teams join the conference, that's still only 12 teams in the conference. So no matter what, but also here's the thing. A lot like the SEC, you can protect one rivalry game, right? Who is WVU's rivalry in the Big 12? We don't really have one. All of our rivals are in the ACC. So we could maybe protect Cincinnati because Cincinnati doesn't have any rivalries either. So maybe that's the game that we could protect. Down here, pods are really picking up steam. The SEC meetings are coming up in the next couple weeks. And word is pods, NIL, and playoffs are being discussed. Let me talk about that too. Yeah, it looks like pods are going to happen. I feel like personally it's an unnecessary step. And it seems like, we're taking a step away from divisions, but not quite getting to the top, to the next floor of the house. Like, if that's an analogy, that makes sense. It just kind of feels unnecessary. Like, just kind of go away with them as a whole. The one problem with my take, and I will admit this, the one problem with it is if, for example, I was talking about the SEC, Al Squires was talking about the SEC, so I'll just use them again for an example. So if there's no divisions completely, right, and you have a year where Texas A&M and Alabama don't play each other that year because they only will play each other every other year, assuming they'll protect the Iron Bowl. So Alabama, Texas A&M, they don't play that year, and they both go 11-1. Wait, them two, and then also Georgia. Hold on. If all three of those teams don't play each other and they all go 11-1, which two teams will go to the SEC championship? That's kind of the only problem, and it is probably a rare situation. And you can't go based on head to head because they didn't play each other. I mean, but I guess if you play every other year and you have three teams, then at least two of them will probably have to play each other. Maybe. Pods equal fat L. I don't think pods are going to be terrible, but I think going completely away with the divisions is probably the better move. Yeah, I think it could happen. Division play started in 1992. I can remember the game Florida versus Alabama. Yeah, that's the problem with my take. If that situation happens, then what do? You're probably gonna have to go off who's the highest two ranked teams, and at that point, someone's gonna get screwed over. The good thing about that, though, is I also think they'll probably expand the playoffs too. So if you have three teams that are 11-1 in the SEC, they're probably all going to make the playoffs if the playoffs are expanded anyway. So yeah, they won't get to play in the SEC championship game, and they'll probably get a lower seed, but they'll probably still make the playoff if it's a 12-team playoff or whatever. The other thing with the SEC, a lot of the SEC commissioner was talking about maybe making his own playoffs for just the SEC. And to me, that's a terrible idea. I mean, I would still watch the SEC and I would still watch all the other conferences. But that is just a terrible idea to me. Like, why would the SEC make their own playoffs? Like, the only reason would be money to me. And I think to me that's just a terrible idea. Yo, what's up, Christian? How you doing, man? What if several conferences build pods and decide to join pseudo playoff setup? See, that could maybe work. See, I think that there's a lot of good ideas, and if they do pods correctly, it could work. I'm not saying that pods are like the worst idea ever. I'm just saying it kind of feels like an unnecessary step. But there are ways to do pods that I think would be really good, potentially. 12-team playoff or a 14 playoff, I'm all for playoff expansion. I like 12 teams. I think it's the perfect number. And listen, I think 12 is the perfect number, and here's why. If they do a playoff expansion, then they better make it to where every conference champion is automatically in the playoff. The Power 5. Every Power 5 conference champion is automatically in the playoffs if there's 12 teams, and the top 4 ranked conference champions. Say the Pac-12 champion is the lowest ranked out of the 5, the Power 5 champions, then the ACC champion, SEC championship, Big Ten champion, and the Big 12, the other 4 would all be the top 4 seeds, and they all get a bye week. Because right now, there's no real there's no real benefit to winning your conference championship other than winning your conference championship. But now if you win your conference championship, if you're one of the top 4, you get a first round bye, and then the 5th one can won't get the bye, but they'll still be in the playoffs. And then probably the highest ranked group of 5 team should have an automatic bid as well. I think that that's perfect. I mean, look at college basketball. I love college basketball. If you win your conference, no matter what conference you're in the tournament. It means something. It really does. So, yeah, Kansas fan, I see you said you like 12 teams too. I am with you. Yo, I'm glad you're doing good, Christian. I'm doing great too. I'm doing great. Yes, Jamie, the SEC would be stupid. They'd be doing it for this. If they made their own playoff, the SEC would be doing it for the green, and it would be dumb. Because guess what? Say Alabama wins the SEC playoff, they're not national champions. They'd be the regional champions. They'd be the Southeastern Conference champions, the Southeastern regional champions. And whoever wins the championship out of the other 4 conferences would be the national champion. That's what I think. And they'd just be doing it for money. And yeah, I would consider the winner of the other 4 conferences their true national champion. I would still watch the SEC, but they would be the regional champions, the Southeastern regional champions. You really like the 2020 season because the conferences played within the conference, and it was so much better season. You don't like the tune-up games? Yes, that is another big problem. See, that's why I need to be the new NCAA commissioner. I will take feedback and good ideas like this one here from Al Squire and make sure that every team has at least 2. Well, you could make maybe a group. I'd have to think on this a little bit to make it a rule, but you can't be playing all these bad teams. You should have to play at least 2 Power 5 conference teams. And I like how they schedule. If you want to schedule a really good group of 5 team, then that's fine. Cincinnati, Houston, Coastal Carolina, that would be fine too. But you got to schedule at least 2 pretty good games. There has to be a way. I hate whenever teams just play 3 really bad teams to start off the year. It's so bad. I agree with you. I do not like tune-up games. And the 2020 season, because they didn't get to play as many games, it did actually kind of feel like every game kind of meant more because you weren't really playing the tune-up games. So having their own playoff, yeah, they would be really dumb having their own playoffs, Jamie. 100% agree. 100% agree with you too, Kansas. 12 teams. I think that's perfect. Every Power 5 conference champion would be automatic bid. Top group of 5 team gets in. So that's 6. The committee can decide the bottom 6 seeds. I like that. Then the committee can still do their thing, whatever. But yeah, thanks, Christian. I appreciate it, man. Appreciate you saying the stream looking clean. You're with me for the 12 teams, 12 team playoffs and get rid of out of conferences. I'm good with the conference champion automatic bid, but only if the divisions in that conference are gone. Yes. Yeah. I guess in this scenario, we're talking about the divisions are gone. I think this would probably work with pods since you would still take the top 2 teams, the top 2 records in the conference. And there's no you have to be in one in this division, one in this division. So I think it would still work with pods too, but I agree it wouldn't work as well with divisions because say you have Iowa who goes 9-3, Ohio State who's 12-0. Iowa beats them, upsets Ohio State. Now this probably wouldn't happen because when has Iowa ever beaten Ohio State in the Big Ten championship, or anyone beat Ohio State from the West, from the Big Ten West? But in the scenario, say Iowa beats Ohio State in the Big Ten championship, then Iowa would get an automatic bid, and Ohio State would probably still get in. But yeah, I agree. I think having the automatic bids for conference champions works a lot better with the pods or with no divisions at all. I think so. I really do. Man, that was fun talking about all that. I've been thinking about this stuff, like, and man, we got a lot of good ideas in the stream. We got a really good community here on the YouTube, really good college sports community, and um, I think I think it I think these are all really good ideas. Um, Now, what college football is actually going to do? Um, Apparently, the SEC was threatening to start their own playoff because I guess the NCAA, I guess the commissioner like said, or someone promised them that they were going to expand the playoffs like this year, but then they didn't. And I think that's why the SEC is threatening to do this. And I really hope that they're just doing it as kind of a ploy or as just kind of a form of manipulation to try to get their way. Like, I don't think they'll actually start it. As for what else I think college football, like the direction, I think the playoff expansion is probably coming in the next couple of years. Will it be next year, the year after? Probably around there. And I think they're going to pods. And I think that we're all going to go to pod. Every Power Five team is going to go to pods before this season starts. We already saw the Pac 12, they were the first ones to do it. They already don't have divisions anymore. And no announcement on pods for the Pac 12 yet, but I think they'll be coming. And I think it's coming fast. I think it's coming before the start of this college football season. That's what I'm thinking. Think that's where uh, college football is heading. That's the direction I see them going. For sure. You think the SEC playoff is about NIL and expansion? The SEC wants to expand the playoffs in the worst way. Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of what I was talking about. I'm pretty sure that someone in the high up in the NCAA, they wanted to um they promised the SEC that they were expanding the playoffs, but then they didn't yet. And that's kind of what the SEC playoff thing is about. And NIL. Do you ever see a time in the future where teams can call up other teams to scrimmage in the spring instead of having spring game? I'd love to see WVU scrimmage a MAC or Sun Belt team. That would be pretty cool. Do I see I think that's a pretty cool idea. Do I see that happening though? Probably not. Just because they're so scared of injuries in all the spring games. Like, I went to WVU spring game this year. No, but I saw maybe 2 tackles. Like, they don't want anyone to get injured, and that's a good thing. You don't want anybody to get injured in spring practice. So, that's the only thing that I think. Like, basketball team, I know WVU basketball had a scrimmage, has many scrimmages preseason. They had one with Akron I went to. But we got a caller in here. We got my man Joey. Yo, what's up, Joey?
What's that, Danny? What's going on, buddy?
Yeah, I can hear
Can
you.
you hear me okay?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear?
You're my first caller, so I might have to adjust something, but
Okay,
think you're good.
good deal.
Are you there?
I didn't know if my internet. Yeah, my internet's bad. I don't.
Oh,
We
okay.
had
I can hear you.
this storm come through.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
you can't hear me, can you?
I can hear you in and out, but
Can you not hear me?
I can hear you now.
Can the chat hear me? Okay.
They should be able to. It's in and out for me.
You got a phone I can just call?
Um,
The pot good for
could,
like
but I
Western.
don't think the
Somebody's going to
stream
go
would
away
be
with the
able to.
video. The conference, the conference. We've got a bad
Yeah, I could only hear you a few words.
delay.
All right. Yeah, Joey's internet. It's messing up. There's bad storm. Um, go check out the chat a little bit. Um, aren't they doing that on a limited basis already? I thought a few teams already do this. No big teams, just some in Division 2 and Division 3 teams. They might. I actually don't know if FCS programs actually do scrimmages with other teams. I'd say they probably do, but yeah, I just don't see it happening in Power Five. I feel like they're going to be too worried about injuries for spring games. Um, but that is a cool idea. Like if they had a scrimmage against a MAC or a Sunbelt team for the spring game, I feel like a lot more people would actually go to a lot more fans would go to the spring game. So, um, yeah. Yeah, Joey, if you want to just, I know that you were saying you wanted to, that you liked, for WVU, especially, uh, having pods. So if you want to talk about it in the chat, because I know the internet said you had some bad weather come through, and my internet's really bad right now. Let me reset it. And I'll try to come back in. All right, man. Sounds good. Sounds good. You saw some this past spring. Too much at stake for two big teams to mess around with their top tier teams. Yeah, too much at stake for the big teams. It would be a cool idea though. It would. I think if they did that, you could do a scrimmage against another team, but still no tackling. But then that gets a little confusing. If it's just for a scrimmage and not like obviously they're going to be trying, but I'd say if they do that, if they ever do that in the future, they're going to say no tackling. Like uh, maybe a few tackles here and there, like easy ones, but the refs were going to be known like ahead of time, like just blow things dead. Um, I'm pretty sure some spring games they do it if they're in like a 3 foot radius of the person with the ball, they'll just call it dead, and you're never able to tackle the quarterback. So yeah, I think if they do that, then uh, they would probably do no tackling. I would assume for sure. But yeah, guys, that was kind of my take. Um, I see how pods can be good. And I'm trying to think of another situation where how they could do pods that might work a little bit better. Yo, what's up, Geo Pat? How you doing, man? All good, all good. Appreciate you stopping by. All right, let's try Joey in here a little bit. Yo, what's up, Joey? Can you hear me? Yeah, I'll try again in a minute. Yo, what's up, Gary? How's it going, man? Nothing good came from it. Uh, what happens if a big team loses a top player and aggressive other top player to an aggressive other top player and an ACL pot? Yeah, it's not worth it. It's really not. I don't see it ever happening at uh, the Division One level of college football. Um, I just don't. I just don't. Yeah, it's not going to happen tonight. I mean, you could call me, but I don't think that the stream is going to be able to hear it. Um, it would be kind of bad quality because I'd probably have to hold it up to my mic, and it would be probably pretty bad quality. So that's all right though. If anyone else wants to call in and talk some college football with me, hit that link that's pinned in the chat, and you can come on here and talk on stream with me. Ask me any question you like. Good college basketball, college football. You know what we do here. Yeah, GL Pat. I was talking about pods are probably now. Let me get this straight. Like I think that college football are going towards pods, but in my opinion, I had this idea I talked about at the beginning. Uh, just go away with divisions as a whole instead of going into these pods, which are basically just mini divisions. It just seems like an extra step that's kind of unnecessary. But I do see the other side of it where pods, if they're done the right way, they could be really good. Um, my thing is, for example, I talked about earlier, the SEC. The SEC will have 16 teams when Oklahoma and Texas joins. So you play 3 non-conference games. You protect 1 rivalry. That's 4 games. And then you'll have 8 conference games. You can play every SEC team. You can play every SEC team every other year. So every 2 years, you will play every team in the SEC, and you can still protect 1 rivalry. So for example, Auburn. That was my big thing. Auburn can protect the Iron Bowl, and then they can still play every other team every other year. Like the Georgia rivalry, they can still play that every 2 years, and it would still be a meaningful rivalry. But the thing with pods is, are you going to put Alabama, Auburn, and Georgia in the same pod while still having that Alabama Tennessee rivalry that you might have to put in there, and still having that Georgia Florida rivalry that you can't put in there? It's just really hazy because you're going to want to protect those 2 rivalries. And to me, maybe just go away with the pods as a whole. Gary, I don't know, man. Do you like college sports? That's what we do here on the channel. If so, you're in the right place. I got you, Joey. Sounds good. I got you. I can see why pods would be good though, especially for WVU for sure. Um, that it would be good, especially with the new Big 12 teams joining. It would be really good for WVU pods. But for college football as a whole, I feel like just going away with divisions and pods as a whole might be better. If you guys have any other questions or topics you guys want to talk about, you can drop them in the chat, or you can hit that link that's pinned in the chat and come talk on stream with me if you would like. You can ask me any questions. We can talk. It's been a fun stream. I mean, we've been live for about 30 minutes. It kind of flew by because I had so much stuff to talk about coming into the stream. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. You're using your dad's computer? Hey, man. But yeah, the SEC, as far as them making their own playoffs, I didn't really get to touch on that all the way. Just terrible idea. Terrible, man. You want to preserve rivalries? Example, how would you like the Red River Shootout to only be played 2 to 3 years, or the Iron Bowl? Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying. So SEC, when Oklahoma and Texas join, every team gets to preserve one rivalry. They'll play 3 non-conference games, so that's 4. They'll have 8 other games. They'll have 16 teams in the conference, so 8 other games. You'll play every other team every 2 years, and then you'll protect one rivalry that you play every year. So the Iron Bowl will be protected. The Red River Shootout will be protected. Florida, Georgia, and then the other rivalries that are in the SEC, because there's so many. So Georgia, Alabama, they already have their number one. They'll play every 2 years. That can still be a pretty meaningful rivalry playing every 2 years. It could make it even more meaningful. That's kind of where I'm coming from that. Yo, what's up, Tanner? How's it going, man? Got 8 people in here. Make sure you guys drop a like for me. Also, subscribe if you guys haven't already. If you guys are watching this as a video after we went live, make sure you guys join us next Thursday, because we will do this every Thursday evening. And you guys can come on here, ask questions in the chat, or even come talk to me on stream if you like. So, yeah. Another thing to think about with the pods or no divisions, the NCAA has a rule in place that will not allow a conference championship unless there are divisions. Is that for real? How long is this rule in place? Because that's very interesting. Because that means that we might have divisions for another few years. Or I guess they're not really on a contract, so they just will have to change the rule whenever they decide they want to go to pods. Now, my main question, I got to do a little bit more research on who's wanting the pods. I think it's probably the conferences, considering the Pac-12 already said no divisions, right? So, I mean, are they not going to have a conference championship? And if every team says no divisions, then the NCAA would probably have no choice but to change their rule. So that's a good point to bring up. I did not realize that. So is the Pac-12, whenever they say they're having no more divisions, is that kind of like a form of like protest that they're saying, we want the pods, we need change, we all want the playoff expansion, is kind of a big protest. That's kind of what it seems like now. Yeah, I'm doing good, Tanner. How about? Yeah, I'm doing great. How would the conference championship work with pods? That's a good question. I'm assuming it would just be the top two teams in the conference. So no matter which pod you're in, the two best records go to the conference championship. Tiebreaker will be head-to-heads. The next tiebreaker, if nobody plays each other, I guess based on the committee's rankings, if it ever has to get to that situation. That's what I would assume. What team do I want to go to the championship for college basketball? I mean, of course, I would like my team WVU to go to the college basketball championship. Um, but that's probably not realistic this year. Um, I believe there have to be at least 12 teams in a conference to allow for divisions as well in the NCAA rule. Okay, I got you. So that's why the Big 12 is able to still have a conference championship with no divisions. I got you. Because they only have 10 teams. You have to preserve the rivalries. That is what really preserves college football, and that is also what preserves media money. Nobody cares about watching OU Kentucky, but everybody cares about OU Tech. Yeah, or OU Texas Tech. Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying though. You protect that one rivalry every year, but then you'll play every other SEC team every 2 years, and that way it's kind of good for the fans, especially in my opinion, because you'll get to see new matchups. Because I'm trying to think of an example in the SEC. Uh, two teams in the SEC have only played each other like every 7 years. Like we never get to see some of these matchups, and especially for the fans that like to travel to the games, they'll get to travel a lot more and a lot to a lot different places. So yeah. You're just here because your brother is. Hey, man. Appreciate you, though. Appreciate you coming in here. Um, that is not true anymore. Divisions for. You don't have to have divisions for a championship game anymore. Did they change it? Pac-12 is the way to. Yes. He says, you read that the NCAA just did away with this rule immediately. Did they? This is interesting. Did the NCAA already go away with this rule? I have no idea. I might have to look it up. Good night, Tanner. Have a good one. Have a good night, man. NCAA has sent down that divisions are not needed anymore. It is up to the conferences what they want to do. That is why the Pac-12 is going away with divisions. Okay, that kind of clarifies what I was trying to figure out earlier. I was trying to figure out were the Pac-12 just doing this knowing they're at risk of not having a championship game to force the NCAA's hand to go away with this rule, and maybe also trying to protest a little bit about playoff expansion, because the Pac-12 teams, they never are in the playoffs. As it's been since Oregon years ago, since the Pac-12 team made it. Washington made the tournament. 2016, somewhere around there. 2017, maybe 20. One of those years, Washington made it. That's probably the last time a Pac-12 team was in the playoff. So I'm sure the Pac-12 wants expansion. They want to get at least one team in there every year. But yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting that the NCAA says the conferences can kind of do what they want. That's interesting. I feel like all the Power 5 conferences are probably going to follow suit what the Pac-12 did and go away with divisions and add pods. Honestly, I was thinking it would probably happen before this season starts, but now I'm thinking it might not happen until next season. I'm not sure. But I think it will happen soon. If it's not this year, I think next year it's going to happen. The pods are coming. My opinion, I don't mind the pods. I have my opinion that I talked about on here, but I still would be fine with pods. You know, and I think that's where they're heading. I think that's the direction they're heading for sure. That is correct. I think conferences have now become so powerful they no longer need an outsider to deal with common conference problems. The NCAA is a shell of itself now. Yeah, I agree with y'all. Uh, Conferences are becoming powerful, and especially when the top conference is threatening to make their own playoffs. That kind of shows you how much power conferences are going to have over the NCAA. I mean, all conferences have their own TV deals, right? Um, they don't need that outsider, right? Um, so yeah. The ACC is the one that actually challenged the NCAA to do away with divisions. Uh, will not be far behind Pac-12. All right, yeah. Um, yeah, the ACC is definitely following suit with Pac-12. It will come very soon. A fun thing I can do is try to think about the Pac-12 pods. Who's going to be in the Pac-12 pods? I think the Pac-12 is pretty easy, right? You got Washington State, Washington, Oregon, and Oregon State. There's only going to be 3 different pods. It'll be the North Pod, which is 2 Oregon teams, 2 Washington teams. You got the California teams, UCLA, USC, Stanford, and Cal, and then Arizona, Arizona State, Utah, Colorado. Man, that's an easy pod for Utah. Uh, that that's the way it's going to be drawn up, probably. I would assume, unless they want to go the 2 southern, like the 2 LA teams, like UCLA and USC with the Arizona teams. That could work, like UCLA, USC, Arizona, Arizona State, and then do Cal, Stanford, Utah, Colorado. That could work as well. Um, Either of those 2 options. I mean, the Pac-12 is uh, pretty easy to distinguish the pods. The SEC, it gets a little bit harder. The ACC, you guys said, they're not going to be far behind, and I agree, especially if they were the ones that were really pushing the NCAA. They're not going to push the NCAA to go away with divisions and then not go away with divisions, right? So, trying to think of the ACC pods. We can start in the South part, Miami with Florida State, right? With Georgia Tech, probably. And then one other team, Clemson. I don't know, because that's kind of a pretty stacked pod if you think about it. 3 big time programs. I mean, even if they're not at their best right now, particularly Florida State, you got Clemson, Florida State, and Miami all in the same uh, pod, and Georgia Tech too. That Georgia Tech used to be very good. I mean, they're terrible now. But it could work that way. I just maybe they replace Clemson with somebody else. You could put all 4 of the North Carolina teams together: Wake Forest, Duke, North Carolina, NC State. That could be a pod. And then the northern teams, you got Virginia, Virginia Tech, Pitt, Boston College, Syracuse. I mean, it's interesting. It is. Louisville's in there. Excuse me. You can see pods working in an interesting way. This could be the start of a brand new college football league. Yes. Here's another idea that I could pitch for pods. And we talked about earlier, we also want to go away with the tune-up games or scheduling 3 group of 5 or 2 group of 5 teams and 1 FCS team. If we want to go away from that, do it to where you finish the number 1 seed in your pod, you play the number 1 seed of a different pod, or maybe not even based on that, because then the scheduling, gets kind of weird. How about this? Every person in every team in a pod, okay? So let's use the Pac-12 because it's pretty simple, right? So we're talking the North pod. Washington, Washington State, Oregon, Oregon State, right? So Washington, they're number 1 in their pod. Not based on record, just every team is 0-0. They're just called number 1 in their pod. And you rank them 1 through 4, not based on record, not based on anything, just randomly. Each team gets a number 1 through 4. Then someone in the ACC, the South, you got Florida State, Miami, Clemson, and Georgia Tech. So say Florida State gets the 1 as their number. Then they would just play each other as one of the non-conference games. Like it. I'm just kind of coming up with that off the top of my head. So it would need some cleaning up, but I think you guys will get the general idea that I have with this. It's a way similar to how the NFL kind of draws their out of division games. They could draw kind of their non-conference opponents, right? So say the Pac-12 North pod will play the ACC South pod. So Washington, maybe they draw Florida State. Washington State draws Georgia Tech. Oregon State draws Miami. And then Oregon draws Clemson. That could work. Something like that. You also read that for pods to work, conferences would need to play at least 9 conference games per year. All right, I got you. Yeah, that makes sense. So they'd play the 3 teams in their pods and then 6 other non-con games, or not but out of your pod. So 3 games in your pod, 6 in your conference that's not in your pod. That would be 9. That works out because 6, 12. So you would play pretty much every team in your conference at least every 3 years. At least. So that kind of works out too. That works out. There's only one person that could take charge of the NCAA and garner respect from E1 instantly, and it's Oliver Luck. Maybe, man. Maybe. Listen, if I took charge of the NCAA, I may not be well liked by, college football community, but I would make decisions. I would make some decisions. Some people would probably like them, some people probably wouldn't. I would definitely expand the playoffs like immediately. Um, and I would make, every conference champion should get a automatic bid in the Power Five. And go away with divisions. I definitely just because I kind of not a fan of pods, but getting other people's opinions like your guys's, pods could actually be pretty good. So, I would probably consider some pods being in place if I was NCAA commissioner. For sure. That actually might be the direction I would go. For sure. Is the SEC going to do that? It looks like all Power 5 conferences at least are probably going to go to pods. GL Pat. That's what it's looking like. I would be surprised if all conferences weren't in pods by next year. Honestly, if I had to make a prediction, I'd say happen sometime this offseason before the season starts. But we are less than 100 days away from week 0 of college football, so I don't know. Maybe it won't happen until next year. You're also looking at the Big 12 as only bringing in 4 and stopping there, but that is not likely to happen. If they do not raid the pack, they will take Boise, Memphis, and most likely San Diego State. See, I don't really. I'd be fine with Boise and Memphis, but I probably wouldn't want San Diego State. I don't think that the Big 12, they could try to raid the Pac-12, but who could we get? I don't know if anyone from the Pac-12 would want to leave for the Big 12. Colorado, they used to be in the Big 12. I don't know if they would want to come back. And, I don't really want a California team in the Big 12 and San Diego State. I would be fine with Boise State. I mean, it's really far, but they're a good program. And they're going to be competitive. And then Memphis would be cool because they're more Eastern. But yeah, I probably wouldn't like San Diego State joining. They're a decent team in the Mountain West, but they are so far. I mean, you're coast to coast. We're close with BYU joining, but yeah, I do think that the Big 12 will eventually bring in more teams, and I think Boise and Memphis for sure. I don't know if I would like San Diego State. I'd like for them to maybe bring in another team that's more east. For sure. Bring on the booze and bribes. That's what I'm talking about, man. Bring it on. I will make decisions. Hire me. I have 0 experience, but I would probably do better than the guy who was currently in there and quitting. Because that dude was just saying, okay, dang, the transfer portal, it's kind of becoming a little bit of an issue. What are we going to do? He'll probably make a committee for it. All right, committee, you guys vote. What should we do about the transfer portal? Committee, do it. Okay, what's your job then? Come on. Yo, what's up, Drake? How's it going, man? Oh, you mean the SEC making playoffs? I think it's just kind of I think the SEC threatening to make their own playoffs is just kind of like a tool they're using to kind of threaten the NCAA. And use it to make them expand the playoffs, basically, because I guess the SEC commissioner was not happy with the NCAA because the NCAA promised them maybe playoff expansion by the start of next year, and it's not happening. So the SEC was not happy with that. We talked about earlier. Conferences have a lot of power. They don't really need that outsider anymore. They could make their own playoffs, but I don't think they will. San Diego State is building a new stadium, and some would argue a better football team than UCF and Memphis, and and in other sports. Yeah, they're pretty good at basketball. And here's one thing about San Diego State that kind of makes sense for the Big 12. They're kind of going after the teams that are in big time markets, right? Houston, big time market. They got them. Then BYU, they have a really big stadium. I think it's going to be one of the biggest in the Big 12, if not the biggest, once Texas and Oklahoma leave. So that Cincinnati, pretty big market, and UCF. Where's UCF? They're in. Are they in Orlando or? I think they're in Orlando, like somewhere around there. Pretty big market. So going and getting a team in San Diego, while it is really far west, it makes kind of a lot of sense, especially because you said they are getting a new stadium and it's a big city, big market. It makes sense for what the Big 12 is really trying to do. So that kind of makes sense. Yo, what's up, Mike? How's it going, man? SEC only playoffs are arrogant and dumb. I'm right there with you, man. That's what I'm saying. If they do it, they'd be doing it for the bag. And I don't think it's right. I don't think that they need to be doing that. Um, it just not it wouldn't be good. And if the SEC champion and the SEC only playoff, they're not the national champion. They'd be the regional champion of the southeastern part of the United States. They'd be the regional champion, and the winner of the other four conferences, the other conferences would be the national champion, right? Big 12 needs Utah. It will be great for BYU. That would be cool. I would love the Big 12 to pick up Utah because they are a great program, and they're winning right now. That would be awesome if I know Joey said that we could maybe try to pull teams from the Pac-12. If we do, I think Utah and Colorado are the teams to go after. Utah would definitely make sense with that rivalry with BYU and State. That would be pretty cool. For sure. You think the pods need to be regional teams playing so the fan bases can travel? You start putting San Diego State playing Memphis. Big travel plans needed. Yeah, that's kind of the thing. That's kind of me being a West Virginia fan. We're a team. We're a fan base that travels really, really well. But going to San Diego, come on, that's really far, man. So yeah, but adding San Diego, you can your pods would be in the East, so it'd be WVU, Cincinnati, Memphis, and UCF. So it's all East Coast. That could work. Then you're only going to San Diego. So you play San Diego State every 2 years. You'd only have to go away to an away game at San Diego every 4 years. So that could work if they do add San Diego State. The only way I could see them adding San Diego State is if they're pods. If there's pods, then I could see it. Yeah. Yes. That's just what I was saying. For sure. There's no way we could travel to San Diego State every 2 years. It would have to be every 4. But then San Diego would have to travel to us every 2 years. So it would be an every year thing. There would have to be pods if they're adding San Diego State. For sure. Did I miss any messages. I don't know. Oh, I'm trying to get caught up here. You should look up this QB that's from down the road from me with the stats he had last year. He's only a 2-star for now, somehow. His name is Drew Novak. Feel free to do it off stream if you prefer. Yeah, I'll definitely check him out, probably off of stream. But yeah, I would definitely check him out. Drew Novak. I will remember that. Pretty cool. Only a 2-star right now, but be cool being down the road from you if he can become the quarterback Division 1 somewhere. That'd be awesome. I mean, with crazy stats, you never know. It only takes like one big time program to notice you, and then you could have a bunch start to recognize you, and 24/7 will raise that rating or whoever's rating them. Imagine being Hawaii and think they have been doing some kind of travel every season. The NFL has a problem with a London. Yeah. Are they talking about a team potentially playing out of London? Because I know that they're going, like, a lot of teams are playing in London this year against each other. I didn't know that they were talking about maybe having a team in London. That would be crazy. But yeah, Hawaii, even being in the Mountain West, they have to travel pretty far. We got 7 viewers in here right now. It has been a lot of fun tonight, and I've been loving talking college football with you guys. If you guys are watching this as a video later on, make sure you guys come tune in next Thursday night, and you guys can be a part of the conversation. You guys can talk in the comments or even hit that link that's pinned in the chat and come talk to me on stream for everyone to hear. So yeah. Did I see what you're saying about the SEC? Let me see. If you don't have pods in the Big 12, okay, I got you. That is not what the SEC is saying at all. They are going to hold a playoff system and invite 8 more. 4 conference champions and 4 at large. They are calling the bluff of others. Okay, let me try this. So they're going to invite other teams from other conferences to their playoffs? See, I don't like that. And in my opinion, we already heard rumors about, like, you guys remember, like, what was it, before last season or during last season, the alliance between the Pac-12, ACC, and Big Ten? If the SEC is making this playoffs, the other 4 conferences, you know what they should do? Get together and be like, all right, guys, we are not playing SEC opponents. Screw it. We're not going to do it because that's messed up with college football. It's not good for college football for the SEC to have their own playoffs. And I would say even the rivalries, if I'm trying to think of a rivalry that's out of conference, South Carolina is in the SEC. They don't play Clemson anymore because Clemson, we're done. We're not playing SEC teams. We don't want your invite to the SEC playoff. We're just going to have our own. and you guys can do your own thing since you want to do your own thing so bad. You guys want to do your own thing so bad? Okay, go do it. You're not going to play any of us. You're going to play only conference games then during the regular season. We're not taking your invites to the playoff. That's what I would do. I would say, hell no. Yes, Kentucky, Louisville, another one. Not going to happen. Like, I would just be like, no, not going to happen. You're only going to be playing SEC teams then. You guys want to do your own thing so bad? Do it. That's what I think. At least that's what I would do. Yo, what's up, Tom? I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. They are the NFL once a team. They're pretty bad. Wow. I don't know, maybe Jacksonville moves to London, so they're making a whole new team, right? Yeah. That could make sense. That could make sense. I see why it would make kind of sense for the NFL to do that. Travel wise, it'd be kind of weird, but yeah. Honestly, I'd be pretty cool because I don't really know any Jacksonville Jaguar fans. I mean, Alsquire, you Alabama, that might be your team. I don't know. Are you close to Jacksonville? Being a Bama fan, maybe. But personally, maybe a good idea for the NFL. I don't know. It would cause a lot of travel problems, like you said earlier, for sure. Um, so the SEC is wanting the playoff expansion, but the other conferences went against it. So they want to hold a playoff system themselves and invite the conference champions, either 2 or 4 at-large teams. That's kind of crazy to me that other conferences wouldn't want expansion. I would think a lot of conferences would want expansion, especially the Pac-12 and Big 12. They never have teams in the playoff. I mean, like I said earlier, Oregon made the playoff a few times whenever it first started. And Washington was in it one year, and that's it. There's been no other Pac-12 teams that have made the 14 playoff. They should want a few more chances to get in and have their conference champion get in every year. And same with the Big 12. The only team who's ever made the playoff out of the Big 12 has been Oklahoma, and they've never won the playoff. And neither has the Pac 12. They've never had a champion since the playoff has been a thing. And I would think it would benefit more teams than not having a playoff expansion, and I'm surprised only the SEC, the team that has had the most national champions from the 14 playoff, is the only conference that wants the expansion. I've personally, if I was the Pac-12, I would want expansion because then no matter what, my champion is probably going to get in, and then maybe I have a chance at another team getting in if we're having a good year. Um, I don't know. It is a debate, but yeah, it's interesting that none of the other conferences wanted them. So that is weird. Um, yeah, I agree. I think it's a negotiation tactic, guys. I think you guys are right on the money with that. Okay, you're a Saints fan. I got you. I got you. Novak is about 20 minutes from me. Had better stats than Arch Manning did last year. Wow. Can't take his division into consideration too much because OHSAA divides divisions by the school size, not skill. I got you. I got you. So he may not be playing the as good of competition as like Arch Manning, but that's still impressive that he has better stats than Arch Manning. I'm sure he'll be on some Division One teams' radars for sure, even as a 2-star. Um, definitely, I'm definitely going to take a look at Novak sometime. You agree that the other team should want playoff expansion. The funny thing is that Gordon Gee has been the one that is voting against it along with the ACC. Now, what is Gee? Why is Gee against? Man, that just kind of doesn't make any sense. Like, as a WVU fan, of course I want playoff expansion. Like, if there's 12 spots to get into the playoff, that ups me as a fan able to see my team have a shot at the championship. So I want a 12-team playoff. I see Tom, you in there. You want an 8-team playoff. That would be fine as well. Personally, I would rather just jump straight to 12 rather than just go to 8. But 8 would still be pretty good. I think 12 is a good perfect number, and then you can have your top 4 seeds have a bye game. A bye in the playoff, first round of the playoff. I think that is a really good way. Three D2 schools have offered. Gotcha. Is he what year is he? Does he still have, or is he in the same class as Arch Manning? So he might have one more year. Maybe he can up that up a little bit, for sure. But even, going D2, still impressive. Honestly. Now you understand what I'm saying, everyone. Gordon Gee is voting the ACC and going against the Big 12. Think of what I'm saying. Why would he go with the ACC voting? Crazy. Yeah. Maybe there's some interconnections there. I mean, I don't think the WVU will get into the ACC anytime soon. I would love for it to happen. But I just don't think it. I just don't think it will happen anytime soon. But it is interesting that Gee is voting with the ACC. But yeah, we're probably going to be staying in the Big 12, if I were to guess. Class of 23. Okay, so he's got one more year to maybe get some D1 offers. You never know. That would be pretty cool. I'm definitely going to check him out. Could be a sleeper for not so great of a program to maybe pick up a good quarterback, For sure, take a chance on him. Somebody might take a chance on him. This is what I was saying earlier, Drake. This is exactly what I was saying earlier. And the top 4 conference champions get the bye. And I would also say the top group of 5 teams should get a bid as well. Just one. One group of 5 team. Or I guess that doesn't have to be, because there could be years where the group of 5 teams aren't very good. So we don't even have to necessarily have the best group of 5 team in as well. But yes, this is what I was talking about earlier. I 100% agree. I'm not saying they will, not saying that at all, but every time we side with them instead of against them, it's a notch in the belt for later. Yeah, I got you. I got you. I hope eventually, we can be in the ACC. I'd love to play an ACC schedule and be able to travel to more games as a fan, especially because we have so many fans that love to travel to games. I mean, we have fans that travel to Texas every other week. Like, if we were playing East Coast teams week in and week out, we'd have so many fans at the away games. We'd be able to play Pitt rivalry weekend, last game of the season, just like we're supposed to every year. I mean, it would be awesome. We'd have we have no rivalries in the Big 12. Um, it's just being so far away from these teams, it's hard to really build rivalries. Um, it's just in the ACC, we're playing all our old Big East rivalries, Syracuse, Louisville, of course, Pitt, Virginia Tech. I mean, it would just be amazing, man. And then in basketball, too, that'd be cool. I mean, the Big 12 is awesome in basketball, but it'd be easier to travel on our teams. And we're going to be able to play Duke, North Carolina, still be able to play Pitt, Virginia Tech, our rivals. And I know we play Pitt every year in basketball anyway, but you get the point. I would love for WVU to eventually join the ACC. I really hope they will. And from what I've heard, for the most part, it's only going to happen if Notre Dame comes with us. And Notre Dame doesn't want to join a conference. I just wish the Notre Dame and WVU join the ACC, and then they have 16 teams in their conference. Potentially, if the super conference conversation turns into that, where every team's going to have 16 to 18 teams or 20 teams, whatever, and there's only 4 conferences, maybe Notre Dame and WVU join the ACC to form that super conference, maybe a couple other teams as well. And maybe that could be the direction of super conference. Then you have pods in your super conference. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, we've been talking. Me and Drake been talking about this one. 12-team playoff for sure. 12-team playoff for sure. Hey Joey, you got the connections, and I'm kind of picking up what you're putting down, and I hope you're right, because eventually, I think it will happen. I think it will happen. Eventually. Eventually. Pitt's going to be mediocre in football this year, too. Pitt's going to be bad. Not bad, but they'll make a bowl game. But Pitt's not winning the ACC again. Are you kidding me? Pitt's going to be average next year. See, we know they're losing week 1. This happens in the ACC almost every year. A team will have a good year, and then another team's going to have a good year next year. I mean, Pitt losing Jordan Addison and Kenny Pickett, that's like their whole offense, man. I don't know. Pitt's going to have a decent defense. They're going to be decent. I think they'll go 7-5 at best. Might be a little bit of a hot take because Pitt's probably going to be a preseason top 25 team. But hot take on my part, they'll probably be average at best this year. You'd love to see Kentucky move to the ACC or Big 12 so we actually have a shot in football. With our QB situation after Levis leaves, I think it's worth to take a shot on Novak. Take a shot on him. But yeah, I think Kentucky in the Big 12 would be pretty cool, especially basketball wise. I mean, the Big 12 is already the best basketball conference. Could you imagine if we added Kentucky? Oh my goodness, man. Oh my goodness. Think about it. We've got two major blue bloods in Kansas and Kentucky. If Kentucky was to join the Big 12. Up and coming teams, Texas Tech. We got the fourth all-time winningest coach in college basketball all time. Bob Huggins coaching the WVU Mountaineers. We are no pushover. We're going to be competitive in the Big 12 every single year. You got teams like Texas, who's coached by Chris Beard, excellent coach. TCU is going to be really good this year, and they are building an awesome program down there for basketball. I mean, TCU, they are on the come up for basketball. I'm this year TCU is going to be awesome, and of course Baylor, they just won the national championship. So, um, in 2020 or 2021, my bad. Um, so yeah, Baylor, great program as well. I mean, it's already a stacked conference for basketball. If we had Kentucky, that'd be insane. But I think Kentucky probably will stay in the SEC. Um, and even after Will Levis leaves, I think Mark Stoops is doing a really good job building that program in the SEC recruiting. So I don't think that Kentucky's going to be like a bad team in the SEC once Will Levis is done. I still think that recruiting wise, coaching wise, Mark Stoops has done a really good job. Um, so I think you guys will be fine, and I think Kentucky's year to win at least the SEC East will come a few years down the line. I don't know if they'll win the SEC championship game, but I think that they can make the SEC championship game. Um, and maybe like maybe in the next 5 years one time, and make it to the championship game out of well, there's not going to be division, so I don't even know why I'm talking about East and West anymore. But maybe they can be one of the top two teams in the conference out of their pod, and make the championship game. I'm so used to talking about divisions, man. They're gonna be gone soon. Um, I disagree. I don't think that's a hot take. I think most people kind of assume Pitt's gonna win around 8 to 10 games. I think they'll go 6-6. I think an 18 playoff is good too. Not really a fan of bye weeks for the top four, but I am in favor of home games during playoffs. That is pretty interesting. Home games in the playoffs. Do you guys like that? Home games during playoffs? Um, I would be fine with it because college games, play them on a college campus, right? But it would be interesting. That's what I gotta say. Like, playing the playoffs, I don't think it would happen because I think they get too much money out of like playing them other places. But it would be interesting to play playoff games on a college campus. Yep. This is why Kentucky will stay in the SEC right there. That SEC money is undeniable. Wow, Texas Tech signed another 5-star basketball player today. Yeah, Texas Tech is on the come up for basketball. Elijah Fisher. I feel like I heard that name before. They hit a lot of pieces in the transfer portal for basketball. And Mark Adams has done an awesome job picking up what Chris Beard started. Texas Tech is an awesome up-and-coming team. Like, I kind of thought about this before. The three up-and-coming new, like, really good teams in college basketball, I call them the new blood. Well, kind of like the new bloods in my opinion, but they're kind of the red bloods because they're all red teams. Texas Tech with Mark Adams, I feel like they're on a major come up in college basketball. Houston with Kelvin Sampson, they are on a big time come up as well. And Arkansas with Eric Musselman. Those three teams in college basketball are all on the come up, and they are going to be the new bloods and the red bloods of college basketball. So that's kind of what I was talking about, or what I was thinking with college basketball. Those three teams are on a major come up, and I would predict in the next 3 to 5 years, one of those three teams, Arkansas, Houston, Texas Tech, will win the national championship in college basketball. Yo, what's up, Golden Dew Blue? Or Gold and Blue dude. Can't even talk. College football should have got rid of division a long time ago. Too many bad teams have backed their way into a conference title game because they won a weak division. Two best teams should be in it. Yes, and a great example of this is the Big Ten West. Always. I mean, Wisconsin's a good team, but they're never beating Ohio State in the championship game. That's the best example of it because it happens every year. It happened last year with Iowa. They got smashed by Michigan. I'm pretty sure every college football fan other than an Iowa fan would have rather seen Ohio State versus Michigan last year in the Big 12 or in the Big 10 championship game. So yeah, I completely agree. I'm happy they're going away with divisions. Now how the pods are going to work, hopefully they work pretty well. Chat kind of convinced me today, especially Al Squire and Joey. You guys kind of convinced me today that pods are kind of better. Like I've been swaying back and forth whether I like them or don't, because my thinking originally, whenever I started the stream, was don't go with pods or anything. Just kind of go away with divisions, pods, and do what the Big 12 does, and then just protect one rivalry. Then you can play every team in your conference every other year. If you have 16 teams like the SEC will once they add Oklahoma and Texas. So that's kind of what I was thinking. Uh, but yeah, I think pods might actually be the best way to go about it because you have your 3 pod games, and you can play 6 other conference games that are not in your pod. 2 best teams go to the championship game no matter what pod you're in. That might be the best idea. Honestly, it might. Think of the kind of money a 12-team playoff on-campus game would generate. Game changers for many schools. I like this idea, but see, I don't know the arrangements though. Like, are they making more money playing the playoffs at like a big time stadium like Neutral Site Stadium? You know, I don't see them playing them on campus. What I think would be cool, do it kind of like the NFL does it, right? So say, for example, a 16 team playoff. Now, I don't think we'll go to that far. I think it'll probably go to 12. So you have 16 team playoff, right? So the first 2 rounds, or every round, how about this? Every round until the championship game is played on campus. Then the championship game, you play at a neutral site. I think that would work. Every round until the championship game, you have home field advantage and you play at it on campus game, just like the NFL. In the playoffs, in the wild card divisional conference, or in the conference championship game, NFC, AFC championship games, you play them home and away. Home, the higher seed plays at home, and then you play the Super Bowl at a neutral site, right? That could work. Like, I feel like college football could take a lot of things from the NFL, especially that. Like, even a 12 team playoff, right? Or how about this? 8-team playoff. The first 2 rounds played on campuses. Championship game played at a neutral site, big time stadium. That would be my vote. Play the earlier rounds on the campuses. Play the championship game at a neutral site, kind of like the NFL does with their playoffs in the Super Bowl. I think that is a pretty good idea. Those 3 teams should be the blue bloods of college basketball a few years ago. Used to be the blue bloods. Arkansas, Houston have won national championships in college basketball and were dominant programs. Yes. Texas Tech is the only one who's like never won a championship, but they've been to the championship back in 2019 and almost won it. But they have never won a championship. They're only like one that's like a true new blood, but I wouldn't consider like Arkansas and Houston to be blue bloods of college basketball because they won championships before and they were dominant programs, especially when Houston had I'm pretty sure they had Hakeem Olajuwon played for them. And they went to many championship games. And then he was actually drafted by the Houston Rockets as well, so he's in Houston a lot. But yeah, they've been good basketball programs, but it really feels like the past couple of years, those 3 programs really stood out to me as building something awesome. And the original, I don't think that Houston and Arkansas are original blue bloods. Like I said, they've been good before, but they're kind of building it back. They're like the blue bloods of college basketball to me are Kansas, Duke, North Carolina, Kentucky. I'm probably missing some, but yeah. Pods work as long as you keep the pods regional as the base and play other pods in your conference and keep the fan base together. Yes, I like this. You need to keep the pods. You need to keep the pods regional. And I don't like how, especially the Big 12 is just going all willy-nilly. Sure, we'll take a team from the East and then we'll take a team from the West. And then, they'll have to travel 3,000 miles to play each other. I don't like that. Like, I like to keep things mostly regional. I think if we do the pods, hopefully the Big 12 adds Memphis. Then the Big 12 can have West Virginia, Cincinnati, Memphis, and UCF in the East pod. I think that would be awesome. We're getting educated. Did any conference say anything about pods? I don't think any conferences confirmed pods yet. There are definitely big time rumors going on about them. And the Pac-12 is the only conference that officially doesn't have divisions. There will not be divisions for the Pac-12 next year. So I think the pods are coming. And we were talking about earlier, the ACC is probably right behind them doing that. You have to agree that is another piece to the playoff system. The NFL example is very good, and the championship game at a pre-selected site. Yes, I would love that. To me, that is the perfect scenario right here, guys. Make me the NCAA commissioner. We can have an 8-team playoff. First 2 rounds played on campuses. Home field advantage to the highest seed. Championship game at a pre-selected site. Transfer portal. What would I do with the transfer portal? I would make a hard deadline for the transfer portal. Hard deadline. If you do not enter the transfer portal and be committed to your new team by this selected deadline, then too bad. And honestly, you should only get man, it's hard. I have some other things I could do about the transfer portal. There's a lot of things, guys, wrong with college football, and it's crazy. I think that's why we all love it. Oh yeah, UCLA is a big time blue blood in college basketball. Like maybe the biggest. Historically, they won many champions. I mean, Bill Walton, all of them. Um, I missed that one. Georgetown was the same blue blood program. Yeah, got Georgetown's 84 championship banner right there. As a kid, I loved Georgetown. I think it's because I traveled to DC a couple of times, and I just liked Georgetown. Um, Pat Ewing won them a championship. He's a coach there now, not doing very good at all. But yeah, they got some good transfers this year in the portal. Georgetown, hopefully they'll be on the come up a little bit. Right, nothing confirmed yet, but the SEC has talked about pods for some time. Yeah, I think they're coming. Nothing confirmed, but I think they are coming. If not before this year, then definitely next year. Just I think we talked about this last stream where we would probably put Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Missouri, and then do Texas A&M. If we're talking about the West teams, we'd probably do Texas A&M, LSU, Ole Miss, and Mississippi State. And then for the Eastern teams, Alabama, Auburn, Tennessee, and Vanderbilt. And then you got Florida, Georgia. Who am I missing? South Carolina and Kentucky. Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, South Carolina. That's probably around what it would be. Something like that. Hey, I'd try. Yeah. I would insist that WVU joins the ACC. Yes, sir. I'm from West Virginia, and I actually am a student at WVU. So double whammy there. Big time diehard fan, born here, and also a student there now. So that's why I'm a big time WVU fan. I appreciate you stopping by, Gage. Been supporting my channel for a while now. I appreciate it. Transfer portal hard deadline with limited exceptions. Limit to one transfer, so use it wisely. Have to have a 3.0 GPA minimum to be able to transfer. No NIL deal to players while in the transfer portal. See, this is good stuff, guys. I agree with pretty much everything. I was talking about this. This was actually former WVU running back Eugene Napoleon's idea. I was talking on stream with him, getting his thoughts on the transfer portal, and he told me he is big on student athletes being students, and he thinks that you should have at least a 3.0 GPA to be able to transfer. That was one of the things he brought up, and now my man Drake is bringing it up as well. I could get behind that, but I could definitely get behind the hard deadline and limit to one transfer use. No NIL deal to players while in the portal. I agree. I like that. Yeah, this is what I was thinking earlier, Elsquire, but the only problem with that is it's kind of stacked. I mean, it's good like regionally, it all makes sense. Those are all the southern teams, and it's probably how it's going to have to be. But if Georgia Tech ever, and kind of to a lesser degree Florida State, if those two teams kind of get their stuff together, Miami's kind of getting back now. If all 14 of these teams are at their peaks, that's a stacked conference because Georgia Tech used to be nice. Florida State, I feel like they're going to be nice here in a few years. They're always still getting good recruits. Um, that could be a stacked pod. But yeah, it makes sense geographically. Yeah, I kind of liked whenever if you transferred you had to sit out a year. But yeah. No NIL deals for freshmen. Maybe maybe. I don't know. I feel like if you're a big enough name, you should be able to get NIL no matter the class. I mean, if you're the number one recruit, I mean, people are getting NILs before they even go to step foot on campus, man. How much did Tennessee pay for their recruit quarterback? Like $3 million. I'm pretty sure Tennessee's quarterback that they got coming in next year is getting paid like $3 million through NIL. Like that is crazy. Like he hasn't even taken a snap. That's just insane, man. That's just insane, man. There are so many good pod setups that could be made. Uh, I like the transfer portal idea. Yeah, I like the transfer portal. But one you should only be able to transfer one time. You can't transfer to a new team every year, and then or how about this? If you transfer once, if you want to transfer again, then you have to sit out a year. Something like that. Like it's crazy, man. There is some stuff that seriously need to be done with college football, and man, did he get $8 million from Tennessee, Joey? Former players are looking at this and saying, "Man, I did this for a scholarship." Like, and a scholarship is good. Like, to me, like the NIL is fine, but there's so much under the table stuff going on. Like we saw Jimbo Fisher just got called out about it by Nick Saban. And I'm pretty sure, some other coaches, former coaches come out and said, like, or some anonymous sources come out and said, like, yeah, well, he's not lying. And he's probably not, but, like, he shouldn't have said it publicly anyway. But that's a whole nother topic. It's just, so, whenever they came up with NIL, college football really did not think about this at all. Like, they really had no thoughts. And it kind of makes me mad. Like, how are they going to come up with this huge game-changing thing and then have no rules with it? Like, no rules. They just said, okay, you can now earn money from name, image, and likeness. And they put no rules on it. Like, that is ridiculous. Like, if they were going to implement this, you'd think that they'd have this stuff kind of planned out. As big of a sport that college football is, like, you got to think about some of this stuff before you just act. Like, everybody wanted NIL, everyone except the fans probably, and it's fine, but make sure you have the rules set in place before you add something like this, so then you don't have this problem. Because now there's going to be an investigation at every single school about whether or not you're paying players under the table and it's not coming from NIL, or anything like that. So it's just kind of mind-boggling that they would just throw this in here and have no rules whatsoever with it. It's crazy to me. It is crazy, man. Yeah, Texas players are getting Lambos. I seen Bijan Robinson had a Lambo NIL deal with Lamborghini. Um, Wonder why they can't win games. Culture problems like crazy, and the players. Yeah, Texas got some crazy culture problems. Lost to Kansas. We'll be interested to see how they do this year. They got a good team. Well, at least a good offense, and on paper, they're always going to have a good team because they keep getting the good recruits, even though they don't win games. So, um, just that big time brand. They're lucky they have a big time brand, man. Because there's been other programs like I seen GL Pats talk about Miami. I'll get to it in a second. Uh, like a Miami who have been on top and been dominant, like a Florida State, with Bobby as their coach, and they just kind of fell off. And I'm surprised that Texas is still getting such good recruits. Like I Texas is always going to get good recruits, and Miami still gets good recruits. But I don't know. I think Texas is heading in that direction of falling off like Miami did from being that dominant team. Quinn Ewers got a mill from Ohio State and dipped. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Can't believe that Tennessee quarterback got $8 million. Goodness, man. Will Miami make the playoffs this year? I'm gonna say no, but they have a chance. What they're gonna have to do to make the playoffs, they're gonna have to go at least 11-1 regular season, and they'll have to beat Clemson in the ACC championship game probably. So, or maybe Wake Forest. Wake Forest is pretty good. All right. Has anyone heard the new college football pod idea that recently surfaced? The example given was, excuse me, how the English Premier League is set up. Now, I don't know too much about the English Premier League, uh, but I have not heard that setup. Tate Martell is a prime example for the limit to one transfer. He went from Ohio State to then transferred to Miami, then transferred again to UNLV. Yes. Uh, man, there's a lot of good examples. I mean, didn't what Emory Jones? He just transferred where to Arizona State or somewhere from Florida, and before that he was at Houston, and he probably should have just stayed at Houston. I mean, he's doing good stuff there. The $5,000 a month, 2-minute weekly radio interview that Texas A&M has going on right now. Yeah, I'll have to look into how the English Premier League is set up. I have to see if that could be a good idea. Look at Emmett Matthews at WV. He transferred out. Now he's transferred back in. I'm glad he came back, but the Porters, yeah, it's the wild, wild west. That is a fact, man. Um, the portal is a mess, and there need to be some rules about it. Like this why I'm saying. Like I feel like college football just be throwing stuff out there and waiting for something to stick, and then they just have all these problems. They never fix them. You know that's kind of what I was saying. We almost been live for 2 hours now. I'm probably gonna hop off the stream at midnight here in about 5 minutes. So if any of you guys have any other things you guys want to talk about before we get off the stream, then make sure you guys drop it down in the chat. I really had a ton of fun here talking college football with you guys. It was a lot of fun. We had, average 6 to 10 viewers in here the whole stream, which is just awesome. It makes me want to keep doing more streams, and I'm going to be doing more streams every single Thursday. So if you guys are watching this as a video later, you guys want to come in here and be part of the conversation, then make sure you guys come tune in next Thursday as well. Yes, Joey. I appreciate you coming by. This is a lot of fun, man. I'll see you later, man. Another idea could be no conferences and put everyone into pods. For example, Kentucky, Louisville, WVU, Cincinnati, Ohio State would be a pod. That would be, I mean, I don't think that would ever happen because how much money like the conferences provide to the schools. So I don't think they're going to go away with the conferences, but it is a cool kind of idea to set up, right? Like I would love that. It would be really cool to see every team just get rearranged. I mean, it won't happen because of how much money the conferences provide for the schools, but that would be a really cool thing to happen, honestly. Yeah, college football is crazy, man. It's just crazy. We're in the off season. All these rumors going around gives us something to talk about, man. It's a lot of fun. College football is crazy. It's a mess, but we love it and hate it, right? For that reason, we love to hate it and we hate to love it. I guess is a good way to put it. I appreciate it, Joey. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for stopping by again. It was a lot of fun. The Premier League, also known as the English Premier League, is a top-level English football league system contested by 20 clubs. It operates on a system of promotion. All right. All right, I got you. So it's the English League. I have to look into exactly how it's set up to see if I would like that idea. But if it's a system of promotion, it could be a pretty cool idea. Ultimately, I think that the NCAA is definitely going to decide to go with pods. And to be honest, I've kind of got swayed to like pods. They sound pretty good. I'm excited for them. I really am. And hopefully it can set up some pretty cool like cross pod non-conference games, so then we don't have to see a lot of blowout games at the start of the year whenever teams are playing their non-conference. Like I would like a lot of these Power 5 teams to play other Power 5 teams in the non-con, and it looks good the way kind of we're heading. We got a lot of teams that have set up 1-1s in the future, but some teams haven't. And I want to see some good games the first couple of weeks of the season, not just a bunch of teams blowing teams out. So yeah, I think with the pod setup, maybe it could set up some potential pod versus pod. Like you have pod number one from the SEC, pod number two from the Big 12, play each other in the non-con this year, and then next year it'll be different. That would be kind of cool. Um, honestly, don't think they would do away with conferences. If they did and put everyone into pods, that would be something I'd watch if they televised. Okay, so yeah, that would be cool. Like if they televise like the reveal of the new conference pods, um, and they would do it regionally. That would be really cool. Um, I guess that they would just like say that this pod goes with this conference, like these four pods go to this conference, these four pods go to this conference. It would be a lot of change, but yeah, I would love to watch the reveal if they televise that. That would be a pretty cool idea. But yeah, guys, it's past midnight. I really appreciated you guys coming on. We did a little bit of a longer stream today, and that's just because we had a bunch of good stuff to talk about. Honestly, it was so much fun, and I appreciate all you guys who have been in the stream. Everyone in here always been supporting up on my channel a lot, so I appreciate you all. You guys are all awesome, man. And we'll be back at it again next Thursday. So yeah, guys. Again, subscribe if you guys are new. Drop a like on this video so it helps share it to more college football fans. And yeah, we'll be back at it again next Thursday. So thanks again, guys. I'll see you later.